Anya here, and I'm in another solo episode in a different setup though, because now you can actually see me on YouTube. I don't know if you're listening on Spotify or YouTube, but you can see my face and you can feel like you're having a little coffee with me now with this solo episode. This is a bonus episode actually for this week because I genuinely wanted to talk about this important topic, which is fast fashion and labor. But obviously, beside this, I'm still doing the interviews and I'm really having fun with that. But there are certain things that kind of catch my attention or are in my mind and I need to speak about them. They're kind of itching my brain, if I can say like that. And I actually love this platform because I just sit here and I can talk and I feel like I'm talking with you right now. So it helps me kind of express my feelings about it and share my opinions. I'm very scared about this topic because it's not a topic that I am very knowledgeable about, but it is a topic that, and a reason I want to say why I got into sustainability in general. It's the people that I wanted to help and our planet, obviously. And I actually had a chat with someone the other day and they said, oh, we often say we are saving our planet, but we are actually saving ourselves, which is kind of a very lovely way to put it. I think personally. And yeah, we are saving ourselves and we often forget that there are people behind each garment that comes in, and fast fashion being the, I think, third or the second now industry that is the worst for sustainability in general. It's kind of scary, to know that there are people behind it that are really, I want to say slaving away because they're really genuinely exploited. There is a huge exploitation going on behind it. And anyway, I'm just happy to be able to have a platform where I can talk about it, and I can't wait to hear your opinions on it as well, because if you do know more about it and you do want to share it with me, please do. But yeah, I will give credits to a lot of articles, which I'm very grateful for, because there is on Google information, there is a lot of lovely apps and people that are writing on this topic, and this is why I'm able to actually give you this episode, because I was able to research myself and I was able to gather information myself that is actually proven, that it's checked, and so on and so forth. So yeah, I want to start by saying that we are consuming 80 billion pieces of clothing each year. So, somebody needs to make those 80 billion pieces of clothing, okay? And those are the people we're going to talk about today. But in 20 years, this is a 400% increase of clothing that we actually do. And I actually read that by 2030, we're going to have clothes for 2 planets. Okay? Which is kind of really, really scary. Like, we're going to be able to dress to our planet and another one. You know what I mean? So when you put it in that perspective, it's really genuinely scary. And what really struck me is that, you know how before when you enter shops like, I don't know, H&M and Zara, for example, I always give them as an example because they're the first ones on my mind. But when you enter these shops, you can actually you actually have 4 seasons, right? Well, we used to have 4 seasons. We used to have like normal spring, summer, autumn, winter, and you would be able to dress exactly for that season. Now, by the article from H&M actually, there is a 52 micro seasons for each week of the year. So yeah, when we talk about it, it's very devastating, and it's crazy that therefore a 400% increase, obviously, because we went from 4 seasons of clothing to 52 micro seasons, which are so not needed. Like, it's definitely not needed. And we often talk about capsule wardrobes. I talked about this before on another solo episode, where capsule wardrobe rule is to have 30 pieces, which doesn't sound a lot in your wardrobe, but actually it's enough because we don't need more than that. But yeah, it was kind of a revelation for me when I read that actually there are 52 micro seasons. I was like, what? What is this? Like, I know now that when you enter the shop, it's like kind of crazy and you can find everything and anything. Like, you can find shorts in the middle of the winter, which I find personally ridiculous, but you know what I mean? Like, it's really ridiculous what they're doing. And obviously there are people making this, and what do you think actually, what type of conditions they can live in, these people? First of all, the garment workers, they do not have a living wage. I want to start from there. So they do not have living wage, and obviously they don't work in the right conditions. I want to say that it's actually statistically proven that they work 14 to 16 hours per week, which adds up to 96 hours per week. Obviously, this is a lot of overtime, right? Because normal full-time week would be 40 hours, and I can't believe that we actually complain sometimes for that, because there are people literally working 96 hours per week. Now, I'm going to let that sit for you for a minute. But at the same time, I want to say that some of you might say, oh, why they don't reject the overtime? They don't need to do it. Well, if they want to reject the overtime, for example, they would be met with they would be let go automatically. They would be fired because there are extreme deadlines by the fashion industry. They need to be, by the big fast fashion giants, they need to be met. And obviously, if those deadlines are not met, they're just let go. There is somebody else that's going to replace them. And I'm going to remind you, this is why firstly I said that they do not have a living wage. I said that because even if they want to leave this job, okay, they do not have that opportunity. They can't, simply because they do not earn enough of money to save aside or to search for another job or anything even remotely similar to that. So beside this, the conditions that they work in are absolutely devastating. And I want to say, because I have notes, so often I'm going to look into my little notebook because I want to give you correct numbers. But obviously, as if this is not enough already, if garment worker would refuse to do overtime, as I said, they would be just literally fired. One of the things I think that could have been kind of revelation to us, or should have been revelation to us, and I'm sure for many of us that are reading about this and that are constantly kind of in this world of sustainability within fashion industry, we kind of know certain stuff that are happening. But one of the biggest events that happened was the collapse of Rana Plaza in Bangladesh in 2013, where 1,134 people were killed. Okay, so I know this topic is quite broad. That's why I kind of gave disclaimer at the beginning as well, that maybe we will touch on some very hard topics. This event actually revealed to the public what type of conditions these people are working in. And obviously, employees usually work with no ventilation, breathing in toxic substances, inhaling fiber dust, for example. So accidents, fires, injuries, disease are not uncommon in these places, okay? And for something like that, for a building to collapse, you can imagine what type of conditions these people were working in. Obviously, not great. Main countries as well for this type of work are Bangladesh, Vietnam, China, and India as well. There is a term called offshoring, and I'm sure a lot of you heard it, probably. It's pretty much when the big companies, I'm gonna talking about fast fashion now, so big fast fashion companies literally transfer all their factory work, whatever, into a low-cost country. Therefore, Bangladesh, India, Vietnam, and so on and so forth. What kind of struck me here, I'm gonna talk about Rana Plaza again, so don't worry, I'm just kind of leading you into conversation slowly. What kind of struck me with all of this offshoring, right, is that in these low-cost countries, this gave opportunity to women to finally find work, which they call feminization of labor. And I think a lot of us heard this term, feminization of labor. It's pretty much when women finally get their space in the workplace, maybe often certain jobs that were dominated by men, or now we can see women more working in this industry, or they're just finally getting hired by these companies, and so on and so forth. So what happened within this offshoring thing, let's say it like that? So fast fashion industry moved everything to the low-cost country, which caused feminization of labor in the low-cost countries, because these factories are mostly populated by women, and it is dominated by this industry. It is dominated by women, which led me to another concern that I didn't know about, but my heart was breaking when I was reading this article. I'm gonna attach the article in the link below, so you will be able to kind of read it. I do love Good On You. I use Good On You for a lot of things, so especially when it comes to transparency of brands and their sustainability and stuff. So when I found this article on their website, I was extremely happy to see that there is this type of information out there. So they wrote that, so I mentioned that 1,134 people were killed in the Rana Plaza collapse. 1,129 were women and children. Okay? So that leaves us with 5 people not being women and children. Okay? So I just wanted to put it in that perspective to show you that feminization of labor really happened there, first of all, but not in a positive way as we are usually met when it comes to this term or these words or whatever you want to call it. So poverty in these countries is not unknown, obviously. However, specifically for women, this is very hard because it is statistically proven that women, when met with poverty, it's harder for them to escape it. And I'm saying this with a huge caution when I'm talking about this, because I don't want to give you misinformation over here or something like that. But I do want to cover myself and leave all the credits below that I found this information as well, because it's super, super important to talk about this. And stories that came out of Bangladesh factories are absolutely devastating, and you're going to see many of those stories. Most women have infections of their bladder because they don't have breaks to go to the bathroom. Okay, so this is one of the things that is happening. Then another thing that is happening, and this is another story as well proven, where the woman gave interview, and it was that she was forced to take contraceptive pills by her manager. I would like to remind you that these women can take maternity leave, for example, and they're constantly met with this type of obstacles. I'm calling them obstacles because I don't even know which word to use, but they're met with this. They can't take maternity leave simply because they're not earning a living wage. So if she leaves, she's automatically fired, and she can't afford anything. She can't afford to have maternity leave. She can't afford literally anything. So it's absolutely devastating. They can't afford sanitation products. Okay, they don't have a bathroom breaks. So you can imagine then, I don't even know why I'm talking about sanitation products, because we are talking about bathroom breaks. And I'm mentioning this as well just to kind of give you the bigger picture of it all. And it's absolutely devastating that these women don't have this type of conditions, and that are met with absolutely devastating conditions that they're working in. A lot of women as well, because they can't take care of their children and they're not earning a living wage, they often bring their daughters as soon as they turn 10 years old, and they make them work because they need another salary to survive. That's where we are met with the child labor, and that's where we enter a whole another topic as well. I gave you all this information, okay, now, and I know it's super hard to consume this information because it's super devastating. We often talk about materials on this podcast, and we talk a lot about kind of sustainability and how we can make it better and what we can do about it. But honestly, when I was met with this topic, I genuinely didn't know what to do. Like, I was kind of left with confusion in my brain. I was like, okay, so I'm not buying from fast fashion industry. These people are not going to get any money. What is going on? Like, I needed to sit down for 2-3 minutes to kind of understand what would be the right decision to do in this case. And luckily, again, I'm saying there are all these lovely articles online that you can read and that you can get amazing information from. But again, what struck me was that all we can do is just not buy from fast fashion brands, realistically. And another thing that we can truly do is being vocal about it. Vocal about it, when I'm saying vocal about it, I'm not saying just resharing on social media and stuff like that. I'm saying actively talking with people in your group, like around you. As much as we share on social media, sometimes I think we are met with that, okay, I reshared something, but some of the followers will just scroll, or, it's kind of like just skipping or whatever. I think sometimes it's so important to just talk with your friends and just talk in your friend group what's going on, and kind of share your own opinions between each other. And I think that's kind of even better effect than anything else. But also, obviously, not buying from any of these companies, unfortunately, would be kind of a stand, literally a stand for these people, because you will kind of force these people to kind of rethink everything, all the policies and everything that they have. Well, they don't have any policies, that's the actual problem. But you understand, I think, what I'm saying as well. I also like to say that I read Oxfam report from 2019, which wasn't that far long ago, okay? That was 5 years ago. So Oxfam report gave the statistics that in Bangladesh, 0% of garment workers are earning a living wage. 0%. So nobody. And then in Vietnam, only 1% are earning a living wage. Makes you think like, what the fuck is going on with this world, okay? I'm sorry that I was just swearing, because I usually don't swear on this podcast, but what? Like, what the fuck, okay? So, yeah, I don't know if you're looking, I don't know if you're seeing me or not, but I'm genuinely in shock about this, because I didn't know that. Like, I didn't know many things. I know that the conditions were very, very hard, especially, so we are talking about sanitation, we are talking about bathroom breaks, we are talking about overtime. I didn't yet mention the building conditions. They are often also inhaling a very dangerous chemicals because they need to make those garments in the short amount of deadlines and so on and so forth. And they're constantly surrounded by these chemicals that are not regulated. And then these people are prone to diseases, different diseases. Also, it's proven that they cause cancer. So it's a very hard topic, and it's very hard to understand what to do about it. But then again, I'm saying to you, like, I think the most, sign the petitions, go protest. If there is a protest in your town organized for this, go walk it out, say your thoughts, meet new people that have same opinions as you. I would say, as you can see, I made a whole podcast and Instagram about it because I needed to kind of express myself, and I truly genuinely see like such injustice. And I do wanna read something to you, because I want to go back to Rana Plaza, because it was kind of one of the things that that are truly devastating, because people were killed. And that was not the only time that the factory collapsed, okay? There was a recent event as well where the factory collapsed and 6 people were killed. So this is still happening. Even though in 2013 that should have been enough of a lesson, you know? And I want to say to you, if you go to ranaplaza.neveragain.org, you will be able to read everything on Rana Plaza event in general, but I do want to tell you that over 30 brands, including H&M, Inditex, C&A, Primark, and Benetton, signed what was now called the Accord on Fire and Building Safety in Bangladesh. Okay, so they signed the thing. So now these things need to be regulated when it comes to buildings. They need to check, they need to educate the workers on how to make sure that they are safe and this type of things. This groundbreaking binding agreement, in which unions have 50% of the say and can hold brands legally accountable if they don't live up to their promises, went into effect immediately. Okay, so this is a positive sign. I want to tell you that there are some positive things that came out of it. Unfortunately, I don't think anything good can come out of something that killed so many people. You know what I mean? So this should have been changed long before 2013, okay? And unfortunately, people still don't have a living wage even now. Beside this, so eventually over 220 brands would sign on this initial 5-year program, which would be renewed in 2018, and it was renewed, and so on and so forth. I do want to remind you that not all the brands signed this petition. Okay, so not everybody signed this petition, and what I truly love about ranaplazaneveragain.org is that they have a wall of shame on their website. Okay, they have a wall of shame, brands which don't care about their workers' safety, and they're all listed there. They're all listed there, and please go and see it. I'm gonna read it to you, don't worry. I'm gonna read them to you anyway, but I do want you to go on the website itself and have a look for yourselves. One of them being Lee, one of them being Levi's, Target, Tom Taylor, Urban Outfitters, I can't yell enough, Urban Outfitters, Amazon, obviously not surprised, Disney, not surprised. There are some brands on here that I have no idea who they are, I want to say as well, because most of them are probably in States and not in Europe. But yeah, I think I already told you some of them that we should never buy from them. Definitely, not to mention that we shouldn't buy in general from fast fashion for many, many reasons. But this topic kind of might open more eyes when it comes to fast fashion, because I know it's hard to think about 1,000 things that come with sustainability, okay? And I know we do make small impact, okay? There are companies like Amazon, like again Levi's, like Lee, Target, whatever you want to call it, that are making huge impact when it comes to our planet and our people. You know what I mean? These are people that are making your clothes. Make them safe. Let's make them safe together. You know what I mean? And let's talk about this more, because it's so incredibly important. So yeah, again, I would like to give a credit to Sustain Your Style as well, because I saw many lovely things on there. They have a beautiful blog posts. I also follow them on Instagram, so give them a follow, because they really truly go into depth when it comes to wages in the fashion industry. They also mention child labor, for example. They're the ones that I found the working hours actually. And I'm just saying it now. So they wrote as well that garment workers sometimes must work until 2 or 3 a.m. to meet deadlines imposed by fashion brands. So then they talk about health and safety conditions as well. So I'm going to repeat again, Sustain Your Style, but then again, you can see it in the link below. Don't worry about that. Good On You, again, I'm talking about them all the time. I think I have a feeling like I'm mentioning them in every podcast since I found out about them, first of all. But I was doing a sustainable fashion workshop with Ajite this month, and it was a lovely workshop where people came and we just talked about capsule wardrobe, and we talked about many different topics, and it was kind of interaction session, so we were all just sharing kind of our opinions. Where I was going with this, my question was, my point was that, somebody asked, one of the girls asked, oh, how do you actually know if the brand is sustainable? And one of the things that I use for myself personally is this app, Good On You, which you can type in a brand's name and it will give you literally the transparency of the brand. It will give you everything that you need to know. That was that's kind of refreshing, because sometimes you can't really know if the brand is sustainable, and then if you can't really find anything on the brand, I would recommend you just to check how much they're producing. If they are doing overproduction, like I mentioned at the beginning of this podcast, they are not sustainable. Just don't buy from them. If they are a small business, if they are a small brand, then make sure to buy from them. If they use the good materials and stuff like that, that's kind of the good measure of sustainability, because especially small brands are usually always transparent as well. So you can enter, maybe owner is even there, so you can ask the owner where they source their materials and everything, who is behind it, where the material is coming from, is it handmade, is it not, and so on. These questions are super important. But till then, if you are not sure, or maybe it's just curiosity as well, because I'm curious sometimes, I just type in random brands in the app and then I look if they're sustainable or not. That could be kind of a good way to to check. Another credit that I want to give is to George Washington University, because they wrote an amazing article on this topic. I forgot the name of the girl that wrote the article. I think it's Emma, but I might be lying to you. I will leave the link below as well. It's an amazing article as well. And actually, she kind of went into depth of how much increase in the past 20 years and we had and everything. But I think the worst for me, the fact was that by 2030 we can dress 2 planets. I already know that now we can dress the next 6 generations. So if we stop all the production right now, we can still dress the next 6 generations, which is absolutely horrible and devastating. But yeah, to go back to our topic of today, right? I just wanted to say that I will be sharing more on this topic. I know it's a super hard topic, and I know many of us maybe it's hard for us to hear it and it's hard to talk about it, but we do need to, because it's such an important part of sustainability. So yeah, guys, I'm gonna be ending here. I've been talking for 26 minutes now. And you know that I like my solo episodes short. There is so much to talk more about of it. So if you do wish for part 2, or if you do want me to tackle specific things or specific brands, that would be quite fun, I think, to talk, for example, about Shein or Primark or H&M and what is really truly bad about them, and kind of research more about specific brands and stuff like that, and not just talk in general. I would be really happy to. So yeah, guys, I hope you have a lovely day, and I hope today you talk with your friends about this and just kind of mention it to them, say to them, share this podcast with them if you want. And yeah, hope you have a lovely day. Bye bye.